So good morning, everybody. My thought for you that I've been working with this week is very much the idea that the world is overwhelming. And even though it's overwhelming and there's always so much that we don't know about going forward, because that's kind of where everybody is again, right? We're at getting close to a changing of season. There's a lot of decisions to be made about people going back to work, kids going back to school, the continuing process of no one having any idea what's going to happen tomorrow. And that sense of overwhelming, right, can make us feel very scattered, like we have to take care of 10,000 things every second. And that keeps us in that state of always our attention being very divided, and our sense of what's important being very all over the place, right? In any moment, we're not sure what's the most important thing. But really, you have one job, right? It's been what I've been talking about this week, is that there's a quote from one of my favorite teachers, no longer embodied, Batabi Joyce. And what he would say is that if you practice, everything will come, right? So it's a simple quote. If you just practice, everything will come. And what does it mean by practice? It means that there is one job that you have to do every single day. There's not 10,000 things to pay attention to. There's one thing to pay attention to. And that is, who are you, right? That is, what are you embodying in yourself, in this lifetime, in this moment? What are you carrying forward into everything that you have to do? Because who you are is not determined by what's those 10,000 things happening outside, right? So the one practice that you have is to really be steady and really be clear on who you are at the deepest, most fundamental levels, so that you know that this is what matters to me to be bringing forward into each moment, right? If it's love, if it's compassion, if it's understanding, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But for you to stay steady means that no matter what happens, the answers for how do I deal with this moment become much more clear. Because you're not looking for what's the right answer out there. You're looking for what's the right answer in here, right? What allows me to keep moving through my life in a way where I am at peace with myself. I am at peace with myself in the world. This is your one job. So there's no arguments about, but this is what's going on in my life, or this is what's going on here. You have one job, every one of us. And that is, how do I live at peace with myself in this world, the best of my ability, right? So to do that, the teaching of yoga is that you have to get deep down into that understanding of who you are on that fundamental level. So it's not your personality, it's what is it that you cannot be without, right? What's the part of you that cannot be extinguished, that cannot be forgotten, that you cannot wake up on any day and not carry with you? So this is what we're looking for. This is your one job, right? There's nothing else for you to do but discover this one thing and stay steady in it. So comfortable seat if you're not there already. The eyes close. And start to bring your awareness inward to that deep place of your pelvis. So you're breathing deeper down into the bowl of the pelvis. And as you do that, bringing the awareness in means I want you to drop your mind. My joke, right? Whatever you're doing in the background that's making you crazy, stop it. Whatever your mind is doing in the background of your entire day, your entire life that's making you crazy, stop it. Drop out of it. I want you to drop into the place that is fundamental, that regardless of what's going on, is you know who you are, that there's a steadiness. Because there are no right answers out there. That's the struggle. There is no right answer out there. There's only the right answer that exists inside. And that's the one that allows you to live at peace with yourself in the world as it is. Not as you hope it will be, as you wish it might be, as it might be tomorrow. As it is today. You let your mind go to that fundamental feeling of steadiness, is all of the emotions, the thoughts, everything else starts to become clear. We call that dharana. We call that concentrated focus. Breathe deep into your pelvis. If your whole mind drops away, everything that you're supposed to do, what fundamentally is your reason for getting up in the morning? Drop your mind. And still with the eyes closed, hands on the front of the knees or the thighs, please start to cat-cow your spine. If you're used to yoga classes and thinking, well, as soon as we Om, that's when class really starts, you're wrong. Class begins the minute you roll out your mat. I would say even before that, class begins when you have to entertain the thought that I'm going to roll out my mat. Right? Because the reality comes from the deep place inside of us that what we intend to be and how we choose to create that inner self in the outer world. So it's not your mat that makes your practice. It's not the movements that make your practice. It's the mind searching for steadiness, or it's something inside of you below your mind rising up saying, I need to be present too. Your practice begins as soon as you entertain the thought that you're going to practice. So keep that thought in your mind 100% of the time. I'm practicing. Good. Find your way back to stillness, please. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Reach as long as you can. Interlace your fingers. Press the heels of the hands straight up, 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 up. Good. Pull up. More. Ribs in. Belly in. Pull. Pull, pull, pull. If you haven't touched your ceiling yet, pull. Those of you who have high ceilings, not my fault. Pull. Good. And then exhale, hands fold together. Bring them straight down to the heart center. Still with that feeling that you're rising up through the crown of your head. Good. We'll open sound of Om. Deep breath in. Let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. So stay seated cross-legged if that's where you are. Flex your feet, please, and then just walk yourself forward into a forward fold. Just take your torso straight ahead. Good. If you're up on a prop, you can come down off of the prop if that feels better. If you're happy where you are, stay. You just want your sit bones to be stable. So just cross-legged feet flex. Walk yourself forward. Yeah. And as you are walked forward, you're still breathing deep down into that space of the pelvis. So being in a forward fold doesn't change that at all. You're just breathing wider into your lower back, letting that space at the front of your pelvis be a little bit more hollow. Good. Nice, you guys. Walk yourself to the right just a little bit. So walking your torso over that right thigh. Yeah, stay low though. If you don't stay low, you're not going to get as much of that feeling of stretch through the low part of your torso or into your hips. You got to stay low. And that's this week I've been talking a lot about the root chakra, and the root chakra being this distillation of the crown, right? The infinite self that exists in that sort of etheric space is it doesn't become less as it comes down to the root, is it distills itself, right? It becomes the primary essence of that eternal self in the world so that it can continue to manifest in all the ways that it needs to. Come back to center, walk to your left. I know we use the word manifest a lot, and it's a very fancy word that says it just keeps showing up. That's all it means to manifest, is it keeps showing up. If you get down into that root of yourself without the idea that somehow it's going to be less than what you should be reaching for, then you start to understand yourself in a much more clear way. What really matters to you and what doesn't. Good. Come all the way back to center, please. Stay low. Didn't say come up, I said stay low. Good. Curl into your belly. One more breath. Get wide through your lower back. Good. And then walk the hands all the way back up, please. Inhale the arms back up to the sky. Good. Come into spinal twist. So your right hand comes to the outside of your left knee. Twist into the right. Left hand comes behind you. Good. Draw your rib cage in. Drop your seat. So I want you to get into the heaviness of your pelvis. Draw the ribs in. Draw the low belly in and up. So you're lifting your hip point a little bit up off that thigh. Good. And then keep that right hand where it is. Float the left arm up. Lean over to your right. So lean over the right thigh. Good. On the diagonal. And then use that right arm. Bend the elbow like you're going to drag yourself into the twist a little deeper. And then pull your ribs back. Draw your throat back and open your chest to the sky. Yeah. Good. And then come all the way back up to center, please. Inhale, both arms up to the sky. Nice, full breath in, and then twist to the other side. So your left hand comes to your outer right knee, right hand comes behind you. Good, and again, you're drawing your ribs back. You're trying to keep that front body hollow. So the ribs draw in, your low belly draws back. You're trying to keep that spaciousness of your pelvis. Good, keep the left arm where it is. Take the right arm up alongside your ear, and then lean over that left thigh. Good. And then you're using your left hand. There's energy there. It's not just hanging, but you're going to bend that elbow, pull yourself a little deeper in, and then draw your ribs back. Again, hollow. Pull your belly back away from your pelvis, the lowest part of your belly back, and then twist a little deeper. Good. And then come all the way back up to center. Inhale the arms to the sky. Really good, you guys. Good. Release the hands down to the floor. Roll forward onto hands and knees. Yeah. And then take your right arm out wide to the right, please. Slide behind the left wrist, right shoulder finds the floor. Walk your left arm forward to straight. Good, threading the needle. Press into your shins. Good, so I want the whole length of your shin pressing down to the floor. If you have to tuck your toes in this position, that's fine, but still push down as much as you can into your feet, into your shins. So by pushing into your shins, you can get a little bit more of that feeling of activity through your lower legs. You can lift up through your low belly a little more. And then the same as the twist you just did, draw your front ribs in and back, and then start to twist your left shoulder higher. Good. Nice, you guys. Keep pressing into your shins. One more breath. And then release and come back to center, hands and knees. Go to the other side, take your left arm out wide, slide behind your right wrist, left shoulder finds the floor. Good, right arm comes forward to straight, pressing into the shins. We're going to anchoring into that heavy part, anchoring into that steadiness, because that's what the root is really about. It's about that finiteness of the world that is steady, even though the circumstances are always fluctuating, right? The root energy is the one that is steady. It says there's just me and myself, right? The individual identity is there's nothing else for me to reach for because I am whole and complete in myself. I'm the same as that crown energy. I'm just moving in the world. Good, ribs draw in, open the chest higher. And if you know yourself on that steady way, what makes you steady, what allows you to stay steady, then there's nothing in the world that can throw you, right? Things can be difficult, challenging, not at all what you want, and you still can see the way through. Come back up to hands and knees. Good. Spread your fingers wide, tuck your toes, lift your hips, come back to downward facing dog. Good. Bend your knees deeply. Lift your heels a little higher, pull your hips back like you're going to drop your butt onto your heels. So I want that pelvis to tilt. So I want your tail to tilt under just a little bit so the front of your pelvis lifts. And then pull back through your inner thighs, pull back through your butt. This should almost be like you're in child's pose, but your knees are hovering above the floor an inch or two. So drop your hips towards your heels. Get lower. 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 I'm serious, get lower. Good, there we go. Nice. Now maintain that feeling of pulling back and that hollowness of your belly. Start to take your legs back up to straight. Lift your hips, but don't let your low back go into that arch. Good. Right leg comes up and back, down dog split. Nice, you guys. Step that foot forward between the hands. Good. Drop the back knee. Use a blanket there if you'd like. Inhale, both arms to the sky, Anjaneyasana. Take your arms out wide to cactus arms. So palms turn forward, elbows come straight out from the shoulders. Good. Draw your rib cage back and in. Yeah. Squeeze the front foot towards the back knee. So you really have this feeling of lifting your front pelvic points up off of your thigh and then twist to your right, turn towards that front leg. Good. And then the left forearm comes onto your thigh. So you're still in the twist. You're dropping your left forearm onto your thigh. Reach the right arm over your ear towards the upper left-hand corner of your mat. Good. Keep pressing into that left forearm. So it's not just resting on your thigh, but it's into your thigh so that you can keep pulling your ribs up and rotating more. Nice, you guys. Squeeze in. Good. And then come all the way back up to center. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Deep breath. Nice. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Good. Lift your back knee up. Walk your fingertips forward, step up, standing split. Left thigh comes parallel to the floor. Good. Hands can be on blocks if you need them, absolutely. Turn your left baby toes down towards the floor, and then bend your right knee, so bend your supporting knee. And then scoop into your belly again, pull your hip points up off of your thigh. So again, you're getting the fullness in your back body. Yeah, it's gonna feel like your tail has to rotate down towards the floor a little bit, that's fine. And then kick that left inner thigh a little higher. Good. Now maintain that, really feel the wideness of your inner thigh, your inner knee, and then start to press your hips back up towards the sky, but keep pulling wide through your inner thighs. So push your inner thighs away from each other. Good. And then left hand stays on the floor, right hand comes up to your right hip. I know it's way too early to do this twist, but you're gonna do it. Good. And again, round into your low belly, round into your ribs, and start to turn your belly to the right. Good. Don't try to go for the full twist, right? Whatever you think your full extension is. I want you to really stay in just, I'm opening my body as much as I can. I'm pushing my inner thighs wide and I'm turning my belly to the right. One more breath, pull your throat back. Good. And then release yourself back to center. Right hand finds the floor. Step yourself way back again. Nice long lunge. Drop that back knee. Yep, both hands come inside the front foot. Walk to the upper left-hand corner of your mat. And hang out on fingertips or come down to your elbows if you'd like. Good. And drop out of your mind again. Whatever your mind has started talking about, whether you like this class so far, you don't like it so far, this isn't what you wanted with hip stuff, you're really wondering if it's gonna be like this the whole time, drop it. Right, you have one practice, you have one job, and it doesn't change. Right? That's what it means that we go through that process. Yoga says is we awaken from the illusion of the world that somehow there's 10,000 things for us to be and do every second. No, there isn't. There's only ever one thing for you to be and do. There's only ever one. And when you steady yourself in that, the rest of the world becomes much more acceptable, much more manageable. Good, you guys. So walk your hands in just a little bit, some of you that are far out. Stay on your forearms if you are there. And if you are on your elbows, just turn your left elbow parallel to the top of your mat. Hold your right ankle with your left hand. Take your right arm to the sky. If your forearm is not comfortable on the floor, come up onto your left hand. Take your right arm up to the sky. So either way, you're in spinal twist. You're just either on your elbow or you're up on your hand. Good. Yeah, so in this one, don't let the knee fall open. So keep that inner knee drawing in, but pull your right butt cheek back. Yeah, and then open the heart more. Nice. Good. Release that hand back down to the floor, please. Lift the back knee. Come back to down dog split. Take your right leg up and back behind you. Good. Nice, you guys. Deep breath in. And then release the foot down to the floor, downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push-up. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Forehead to the floor, stretch your arms back towards your feet. Good, stretch out through the legs, so float your legs up off of the floor. Good, and then try to draw the front of your pelvic bones forward and up. So even though you're lifting your legs, your pelvis is reaching forward and up. Draw your low rib cage in, lift head, neck, and chest, float the arms up as well, locust pose. But not with the feeling that you're going to just crunch into your spine. I don't care how high you get, I care how long you get. So pull your inner thighs longer. Good, pull your collarbones forward longer. Nice, and then stay up, but take the arms out wide to airplane arms. Good, just notice if that gives you more space to lift up into the back of your ribs. Good, and then stay up, take your arms straight out alongside your ears. Don't get any lower, just change your arms. There you go. Pull up from the back of your heart. It's the same place that still has to lift, right? Awesome. Arms out wide, cactus arms. So bend the elbows from that airplane arm position. Beautiful. And then release back to your belly. Plant the hands alongside your ribs for cobra. Rise up, lift head, neck, and chest. Press the feet down. Legs are heavy now. Legs are your anchor. Good. And then back to downward facing dog. Really good, you guys. Nice job. Left leg comes up and back behind you, down dog split. Good, pull back. I want your hips moving back, just like that first sort of hovering child's pose. Really pull back through your pelvis. Yeah, decompress your spine because your hips are pulling back. Take your weight out of your hands. Good, and then step that foot forward between the hands. Back knee comes down to the floor. Use a blanket if you'd like. Inhale the arms to the sky, Anjaneyasana. Good, really work at squeezing the front foot towards the back knee and vice versa so that there's a feeling that you could actually round into your low back a little bit. So pull the belly back. Yeah, lift your hip points higher. That's it, squeeze the legs. And then take your arms out wide, cactus arms. So we want the pelvis to go deeply forward, but we don't want it to collapse forward. Twist to your left. Good, so low rib cage draws in. You're still trying to draw that low part of your belly away from your thigh. Good, and then right forearm comes to rest on the thigh. Left arm comes over the ear. Reach to the upper right-hand corner of your mat. Good, and then don't lean on that right arm, right? I don't want it to be something that you lean on as though it's just sort of a passive keeping you from falling. I want you to push into that arm so that you keep pulling your belly up away from that thigh. Good, so push into your right forearm. Some of you might have to bend your elbow more to make that possible. Move your ribs back. Good, push your inner thighs wide. Good, come all the way back up to center. Inhale the arms up. Nice job. Good, and then release the hands down to the floor, please. Lift that back knee. Walk your fingertips straight ahead. Step up to standing split. Right thigh parallels the floor. Good, turning the right baby toes down, down, down. And then bend your left knee, so your standing knee bends. Good, and as that standing knee bends, I want you to start to feel, I didn't say it on the other side, I should have, but I want you to start to feel that you can contract into that left hamstring and glute. So I want you to actually feel your butt working a little more on that left side. Good, and your knee's gonna push a little wide, your inner thigh's gonna push a little wide, but your big toe mound's gonna stay anchored. Good, hollow your low belly, start to straighten that left leg. But keep that feeling of I'm engaging the back of my thigh up into my butt. That's what's holding me steady. Good. And then right hand stays where it is, floor or block. Take your left hand up to your left hip. Nice. Still that same leg that's holding you. So you're still working that thigh and butt cheek. Good. Start to turn to your left, please. So turn that left side ribs up, 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 up. Good, nice if you push into that right arm. By pushing into that right arm, you can keep your ribs lifted a little more. Yeah, nice you guys. Really, really good. And then slowly release. Bring that left hand back down to the floor. Step all the way back to your long lunge. Drop that right knee again. Both hands come inside the front foot. Walk to the upper right-hand corner of your mat. Come on down to your elbows if you'd like, onto blocks. Stay on fingertips. But drop low. Good. Nice. If you ever wonder why you feel a little bit better after a yoga practice, it's not just because you were distracting yourself for an hour. When the mind is engaged with what it's doing right this minute, it doesn't have the energy to be dispersed into so many other places. What creates that feeling of exhaustion and overwhelm? The mind is dispersed in too many places that it has no ability to change. It has no ability to influence. So we say the answer is to meditate, and then a lot of us are like, great, one more stupid thing to do that I don't know how to do and I'm not good at, and it's not fun. Maybe it is fun. I think it's fun. But it's not one more thing to do. There's only one thing, only one practice. Good, you guys. If you are walked far forward, walk yourself in a little bit. If you can stay on your elbows, stay. Turn that right forearm parallel to the top of your mat. Reach for your left ankle. Left arm comes to the sky. If being on the forearm doesn't work or doesn't feel good, come up onto the right hand and lift the left arm up. So you're in the same spinal twist. You're just either on your elbow or on your hand. Good. Don't let that left butt cheek pop up. Roll it down and back. That's it. Good, Lauren. Nice, you guys. Chest falls open more. Nice, Debbie. Good. And then release that hand down to the floor. Really good, you guys. Come back up onto both hands. Lift your back knee. Come back to down dog split. Left leg comes parallel to the floor. I said parallel to the floor. It could be higher than that. Good. Pull back, pull back, pull back. Nice. And then release that foot down to the floor, downward facing dog. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Pointing the toes back behind you. Rise up, cobra. Lift head, neck, and chest. Stretching the legs back just like you were in locust. Good. And then releasing downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Nice, you guys. Look forward between the hands, please. Step or jump your feet to the top of your mat. Standing forward fold. Talking about distraction, there's a fly in here, like flying into my face. Talk about distraction. The universe is a funny place. All right, bend your knees, please. Take the arms up alongside your ears. Come into chair. Good. Interlace your fingers. Press heels of the hands out beyond the crown of your head. Pull your ribs in. Pull your belly up off of your thighs and push your butt back, like you're going to fall back behind your heels. But then you're pushing out through your arms so much that you can't possibly fall back behind your heels. Good. Now come up on the tippy toes of your feet if you can. Yeah, keep your hips low. Push your butt back. Now you really know if you're doing it. Good. And then heels to the floor. Come all the way up to stand. Seriously, this fly will not leave me alone. I'm sure there's some animal medicine to that I don't want to look up. Flies. Deep breath in. Good. And then release the hands back to heart center. Pause for a moment. The heart is the place where there's the integration from what we feel as energy rising up from below or from within, and the energy that descends down or comes from the outside and finds its way into us. The heart is a place of equilibrium. It's a place where you can kind of check in to see, am I at peace with myself? That it's not the fault of above or below, it's how are they working together? Is that individual self representing that cosmic self in a way that's true? And if the answer is no, then that's where your practice is how do you represent it more clearly? It's your only job. There's nothing else for you to do. Everything else is just details. Good. Release the hands. Hug the right knee up and towards your chest. Squeeze in. Yeah, as you squeeze that knee in, push the top of your left thigh up and back. So pull your butt up and back. So you're really pulling long through your left leg as much as you can. Ribs draw in. Good. Now cross the right ankle on top of your left thigh. Bend your left knee. Sit back to cross-legged chair. Arms up alongside your ears. Good. So butt goes way, way, way back. Nice. Good. Don't let that right hip drop lower than the left. You got to hike your right hip a little higher, everybody, and pull that left butt cheek in. It's going to move your knee a little bit. Big toe mound. There you go. Deep breath. Good. Come all the way back up to stand. Hug that knee in towards your chest. Nice. And then cross it over the left thigh again, this time wrapping the legs for eagle, inner thighs and outer shins. Bend that right knee again. Sorry, left knee bends again. So it's like you're sitting back towards chair, but now the legs are completely wrapped. Take the left arm on top of the right, in front of your chest. Wrap the forearms to mirror the legs. Hollow your belly. Press your inner shins together. Sorry, your outer shins together. Inner thighs actually try and pull apart. Pull your butt back. Good, Lauren. Nice, Marjorie. Good, Lana. Good. Come all the way up, please. Nice. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. Cross your right ankle in front of your left. So cross the right leg in front of your left. Just standing. Right ankle crossed in front of left. Good. Arms up overhead. Hold your right wrist with your left hand. Pull to your left. Good. Keep pushing equally into both feet. Try not to let your hips push out to that right side. So you're keeping them straight up and down on top of your legs, but you get a little bit more of that reaching through your right side rib cage. Good. So you're moving your ribs laterally to the side. You're pushing them to the side to get longer. Good. Come back up to center. Don't change the legs. Bow forward. Take your hands down to the floor. Cross ankle, standing forward. Good. Back knee stays a little bit softer so that you're not locking your shins back. Good, and then scoop into your low belly, push your butt up towards the sky, press into your heels to let your legs get straighter. Good, hollow, 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 that area of the low navel. Nice. Right, your individual identity, I guarantee, has been overwhelmed with the obligations that you've given it of what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to do. And you get back to where it's fundamental, the seed form, the distilled form of that cosmic self that has everything that it needs already, but you have to give it a chance to grow. So what happens? Our pelvis gets tight, our sense of self gets tight, and there's no availability for that identity to go anywhere. It gets stuck in its patterns. Good. Unwind the feet, please. Come back to center. Yeah. Feet underneath the hips. Bend your knees. Drop your hips back towards chair, but keep your fingers on the floor or on blocks. I know. Yeah, so your hips are moving back. I want you to, again, don't let this be all about your quads. I want you to contract your butt. That doesn't mean squeeze your butt cheeks together. That means you're contracting each side individually because it's working each leg. Good. Curl into your low belly. Round your back. Pull your belly up off of your thighs. Good. So you're making space, front of the pelvis, back of the pelvis. Awesome. And then keep that same feeling, pressing into your feet. Stay hollow in your navel. Press your hips up to the sky. Keep your head dropped. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Good. Nice, you guys. Hands to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. If your legs feel really awake when you do that and really steady, that's how you want your legs to feel all the time. So you got to practice them working like that all the time. You can't forget and say they're just going to do it for me. Good. Left knee comes up in towards your chest. Squeeze that knee in. As the knee comes in, take the top of your right thigh up and back. Good. So your navel hollows, butt pushes back. So again, it's almost like you're trying to take your weight out of that right heel. Good. And then cross the left ankle over the right thigh, bend your right knee, take your butt back, cross-legged chair, arms up alongside your ears. Nice. Good, Nancy. Just see if you can take your knee a little wider to the left so that it's really just your ankle on top of the thigh. It crossed a little too much. There you go. Yep. Good. Nice, you guys. Beautiful. Bring it all the way back up to stand. Hug that left knee up back in towards your chest, please. I know it's a lot of back and forth, and I'm not letting you put your foot down. That's the point. Where are you really steady? Good. Cross the left thigh over the right again, this time wrapping the inner thigh and the outer shin. Bend the right knee again, dropping down for eagle pose. Good. This time right arm crosses over top of left in front of your chest. When the elbows come on top of each other, you press the forearms against each other so you create that same spiral with the arms that's happening in your legs. Good. Hollow your low belly. Lift your hip points, but drop your butt. Contract that butt cheek. Not with the desire to get tight, but with the desire to be steady. Good. Press your shins together. That's that root energy that says, I need pressure. I need something to move myself through to know what I am. Good. Come all the way back up, please. Nicely done, you guys. Good. Left leg crosses in front of right, so left ankle in front of right. Find the arms up alongside your ears. Right hand holds left wrist, pull to your right. So there's a long line going all the way through the outside of that left leg, all the way through your left rib cage. Good, and again, try not to let your hips push out to the side, but maybe move your ribs, your right rib cage wider to the right before you come into that full side stretch so that you get more of that. I'm pulling my ribs up away from my hips. And that's what's going to create the feeling of space in my side body. Good, because just pushing the hip out to the side is just going to make your hips feel less stable. Nice. Come on back up to center, please. Don't change the legs. Release the hands down to the floor or blocks. Standing forward fold with the left leg in front of the right. Try to maintain that you can feel both feet, big toes and baby toes. Good. Back knee is a little bit softer so that there's no locking back. Good. And then you're rounding into your low belly. Push your butt to the sky. Press through your feet to keep the legs straight. Nice. So Debbie. Nice, Diane. You know I like to be tricky. You asked me for hip openers. I'm not going to do the obvious ones. What does it mean to have open hips, open pelvis? You have to understand the connection of your legs to the world, your legs to the ground. What does it mean to have an open heart? You've got to understand the connection of your words, your thoughts, your actions out into the world. How do you understand any of that if you don't know what matters to you? You don't know who you are. Uncross your feet, please. Come back to standing forward fold. Right, so you simplify, right? You have one job, you have one practice, and that is to know on a fundamental level, this is who I am. This is what's going to be present in every moment of my life, and the decisions that I have to make, the 10,000 decisions that there are to make, all center on, is it true to that one fundamental self? Go ahead, separate your feet as wide as your mat, please. Turn your toes out wide, come down, squat. Good, hands at heart center. Yeah. And then push up through the crown of your head. Yep, squeeze your knees in just a little bit. So again, that squeezing in gives you a sense of the outer hips being awake, and then try and pull your inner thighs wider. So you're squeezing your knees in, but you're trying to bring the pelvis wider, the sit bones wider. Good. Pull up through your low belly. Try and lift your hip points up, more vertical. I know. You got it. Good. And then arms to the sky, just to make sure you've really got it. Yeah. Stay breathing. Nice, you guys. Release the hands to the floor, please. Good job. Take your hips back to the sky. Turn your toes forward, standing forward fold. Good. Keep your feet as wide as your mat, though. Right hand comes to your outer left ankle. Left arm comes to the sky, open twist. Good. That same feeling of I'm going to use my right hand to drag myself towards my left leg a little bit more. So use that hand on the ankle, pull yourself in a little deeper, and then fall back. Push your inner thighs wide. Good. And then come back to center, please. Go to the other side, left hand to outer right ankle. Right arm comes to the sky. Good. And you're using that left hand to pull you deeper in. So bend the elbow, use the muscular energy of your arm as it connects to your chest to move your torso, move your spine, and then fall back through the back of your heart, through your throat. Good. All right, we have to use the power of what we have in every part of our body, and then we find the relaxation and we find the openness. But if you don't use your power first, you get stuck. Release the hand down, come back to center. Good, heel toe your feet a little closer, please. Bring your hands to your hips, come all the way up to stand. And then grab a block, if you have one. If you don't, you can use a book or something like that. Just something that you're going to be able to rest your foot on in eagle pose. All right, so you're standing, top of your mat. Place the block to the baby toe edge of your right foot. We'll do it that way. So on its flat end. Yep, so long ways alongside your foot, as though if you wanted to step up onto that block, you could. Good. The block is alongside the baby toe edge of your right foot. Bring your left knee up and towards your chest. Good. Yeah, you're going to cross your left thigh on top of your right, come back to eagle. So wrap the inner thighs, the outer shins. Your left foot is going to find that block. Good, depending on the length of your legs, it'll find it sooner or later. Bend your right knee again. I want the foot on the block so that you can really concentrate on getting your hips low. So squeeze those outer shins, inner thighs, drop your hips low, and then pull your belly in and up. Yeah. And then bring the arms back. Let's do it this way because I want you to do a little prayer twist here. So hands at heart center, palms together. Good. So you're twisting right elbow to the outside of your left knee. So you're twisting to your left. Good. And as you come into that twist, again, you're squeezing into those shins so that your hips are not swiveling, but you're pulling up through your low belly, hollow, hollow, hollow. And then turn your left shoulder up, turn your heart to the sky. And then squeeze your arms towards the center of your back so that you're not falling into you're not falling forward into your chest, but you're opening wider. Awesome. And then come all the way back up, please. Hug that right knee up and towards your chest. Good. And then for fun, arms to the sky, stretch that left heel forward, straight ahead. I know, for some of you are like, that's not fun, I'm not doing it. Good, bring the knee back in towards your chest and release it down to the floor. Good, shake a little bit. I know. What I think is fun is not what anyone else thinks is fun. Switch your block to the other side. Good, so your block's coming to the outside of your left leg, your left foot. Good, I bet you like eagle pose with the block though. Nice to have something to rest on. Right knee comes up and towards your chest. Squeeze in. Good, stay steady. Does not matter how well you think you succeed at these postures. Take your left thigh on top of your right. Good, bend your right knee, your right, oh my God, I'm all backwards. So your right leg is on top, you're bending your left knee, your right foot's gonna find the block. Good, don't let that right hip swivel forward though, pull it back and wide and press your shins against each other. Notice I'm not saying squeeze your thighs. I don't want you to squeeze your thighs. I want you to squeeze your shins. I want you to send your butt back, and then I want you to lift your low belly. Nice, Marlene. And then I want you to bring your hands to your heart center and come into prayer twist. Left elbow comes to the outside of that right knee, so you're twisting towards the top leg. Good, keep pressing your shins together. This is where the steadiness is. And keep feeling that you're contracting those glute muscles, but you're not squeezing them in towards the tail, but you're really engaging them with the length of your leg. Good. Chest opens wide. Draw the arms towards the back of your heart. Yeah. Good. And then slowly come back to center. Nice job, you guys. Hug that right knee up and towards your chest as you come out of the pose. I know. Yeah, the thing is, if you don't stop and say, oh my God, that was enough, is you'll keep going. Arms to the sky. If you just say there's the next inhale and there's the next exhale, you'll keep going. Stretch the right leg forward. Good. And that's life, right? If you don't stop and say, my God, my life is so difficult and I can't possibly do this and there's too much, you'll stop. If you stop thinking those thoughts, you'll keep going, because where else is there to go? What else is there to do? Hug that knee back in. Good. Release the foot down to the floor. Nice. Deep breath in, arms to the sky, reach. And then exhale, bow forward. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Bend your knees, drop your thighs parallel to the floor. Last thing like this, I promise. Start to walk your hands back, please, behind your heels. So your elbows come inside your knees. Maybe you take your thumb and first finger up to the back of your ankles. So you cup the back of your ankles with your hands. So your arms are wrapped behind your calves. You got it. Yep. And maybe that's as far as you go. For those of you who can walk your hands back far enough and take your palms flat, go ahead and move those shoulders back a little more. So you're taking your upper arms underneath your knees. Wiggle your feet forward. You got to press into your hands like you're doing a chaturanga. Keep your butt lifted, at least parallel to the floor. And then scoop into your belly. Walk those feet towards each other. Wiggle them in and see if you can come into a balance. Hook your feet. Good. For some of you that are really excited about arm balancing, if you feel pretty good there, you can, instead of hooking your feet, go ahead with the thighs on top of the arms. Stretch your legs out to a big V. So come into firefly. Yes. Good. One of us did it. We all did it. Nice, nice, nice. Good, Heidi. Good, Alice. I know, I saw it. And then slowly release, feet back to the floor. Even if your feet didn't leave the floor, put your mind back in your feet. Yes, really good. Unwind the arms, please. Good. Step yourself back, downward facing dog. Drop gratefully to your knees. Child's pose, elbows wide, forehead to your hands. Rest. Not that I don't like child's pose. And there's a time and there's a place for dropping into rest. There's a lot of time and place for dropping into rest. What tends to happen when we get into overwhelm is that we don't drop into rest, we drop into avoidance. You drop into, I don't want to make that decision right now. I don't want to think about that right now. I don't want to deal with that right now. You need a child's pose. And maybe you do. There's also the remembrance that if you don't go back to the simplicity and the fundamental understanding of what really matters going forward, what really matters, that gives you the ability to go forward, is that you will continue to struggle, because those 10,000 decisions aren't going anywhere. And as soon as you make one, there's going to be another one to take its place. And this is the Maya of the world. This is the changing, fluctuating circumstances of the world that mirrors the fluctuating circumstances of your mind. And yoga says, yeah, if you believe that that's all there is, you're going to be confused. You'll be scattered, tired. So what's the teachings? There's only one. Everything that looks like it's so diverse and different and scattered is still only one. We struggle to define that oneness, because to define it is to limit it. So we say, well, I guess I can't, but I don't understand what it is. So how do you start to understand unity? How do you start to understand oneness? You understand it in you. What is the fundamental reality of yourself, who you are? And that's the distillation of that cosmic self that maybe you think you're reaching for. You've already got it. You were born with it. All there is the 10,000 different ways it's going to show itself. Walk yourself back up, please. Good. Come to sit. Take your butt to the floor, legs out in front of you. Good. Keep the left leg extended in front of you. Bend the right knee. Bring it in towards your chest. Good. Cross it over your left thigh, please. So right leg crosses over, or right foot crosses over left thigh. Good. Wrap your left arm around the knee, please. Take your right hand back behind you. Good. Coming into twist. And you're really pulling that thigh up in towards your belly, and you're lifting your belly up in towards that thigh. And then at the same time, you're trying to pull your right butt cheek down to the floor. Good. So again, you're hollowing that space at the front of your thigh where it meets the pelvis up into the hip socket. Nice. Good. And then bring it back to center, please. Keep the leg crossed, but just bring both hands to the outside of your left hip. Good. Find the twist in the other direction, still with that right butt cheek staying on the floor. Good. Nice. Don't let your feet fall open. That left leg that's extended, don't let your toes fall. Yeah, it's cute that every one of you had to go look at your foot to see what it was doing. That's the thing, right? If I'm not looking at it, I have no idea what's going on. Come back to center, please. Unwind the leg, stretch that right leg out. Bring your left knee in. Cross it over the right thigh. Good. And then you're twisting towards the left. So the right arm comes around, wraps around the outside of the knee. Left hand comes behind you. So Laura, go the other way. Twist the other way. There you go. Yeah, so you're pulling the thigh in and then lifting your belly in. So don't lean back on that left hand. Pull forward. Get longer through the low space of your spine. You got to pull up. And then left butt cheek pushes down to the floor. Right, so the joke about, I'm not looking at my extended foot, so I have no idea what it's doing. Well, that's the problem with our awareness, right? Is that we get hyper focused on whatever our mind is thinking about, that we're not really aware of ourselves. Right? Without looking, is your foot where you think it should be? Is it straight up and down? Do you have any sense without looking of what a inner thigh rolling down to the floor feels like? Even though you've done it 10,000 times, you have an awareness of it, so that you don't have to look. That's why we practice things like meditation, and that's often saying going inward, inward, inward. So you're not looking at the outside world to try and figure out where you are. Unwind your twist, go the other way, please. Take both hands to the outside of the right hip, but keep the leg crossed. Good. Left butt cheek still reaches down to the floor. And that's a tricky thing, right? To not use the outside world as reference and gauge for who am I and how am I doing. Good. Someone practicing handstand in the background. I'm very impressed. She's young, but she's good. To see that kicking up handstand even. Just saying, you guys have something to keep up with. Yeah, now she's full handstand at the wall. Come back to the center. I was just going to say, well, now we have to do handstand, but I'll save it for next class. Unwind your legs, please. Bring the bottoms of your feet together, knees go wide. Her form was very good, though. I'm very impressed. Good. Walk yourself straight ahead, please. Forward fold. Okay, we practice meditation. We practice what we practice so that our awareness of ourself is so complete and so steady that we don't ever have to look to the outside to know who we are. We don't ever have to look outside and wonder what we're supposed to do. Because there is no answer out there. There's a lot of advertising, but there's no answer. There's a lot of distraction, but there's no answer. The only answer is the one that you have inside, that this is who I am, and therefore this is what my actions need to be for me to be at peace with myself in the world. You have one job, and that is to practice that. And as you do, everything else becomes more clear. Not easier, but more clear. Walk yourself back up, please. Good. Scoot yourself forward on your mat. Come onto your backs. And if your head is still like, I really don't know what she's talking about, this fundamental piece of myself. Sounds like crazy talk. Bend your knees, please. Plant your feet. But maybe taking the arms out to cactus arms or up overhead to hold opposite elbows. Good. That fundamental self is where you are not questioning if it's right or if it's wrong or if it's going to accomplish what you want to have accomplished. Not figuring out how do I meet my goals. It's figuring out that if every other piece of your identity, every other piece of your personality disappeared, what would still be there? So it's not what fluctuates, but it's what is steady. We call this constructive rest, and one of its benefits is that it's very useful if you hold it. The trick is you have to hold it. You hold it in this position as it's very relaxing for the hip flexors, especially the psoas. It's a deep internal muscle, not at all on the surface, but one of those muscles that makes it possible for you to live your life, right? Walking, running, stepping, yoga. But you can't just get in the position and will your psoas to relax. It's not how it works. Again, I'm very interested in the teachers who say that the psoas, because it's that deep internal muscle, says you have to give it time and space to relax. So you can't force it. But when you relax into yourself, you're not trying to accomplish something just through your pelvis, but you relax into who you are, where you start to touch that fundamental self. And there's no longer any question of, am I enough? Is this right? Is this wrong? That question starts to disappear. The psoas will relax. Because it's not about having all the answers as the questions come up. It's about knowing that there's a way through no matter what comes up. The psoas is that deep response of, if I believe that I can do this, I can be this, I can accomplish, I can move forward. Not even accomplish, I can just move forward. You really trust and believe that on a deep level. So as we'll relax. But if your mind is in a state of overwhelm, in a state of I can't, it's too much. So as contracts. Even if you're sure you're having a great day and it's a happy moment, so as is contracted. So as you stay in this position, can you allow the thigh bones to soften into your hip sockets? Can you allow your sacrum to press wider, the flesh of your butt to spread wider? You're not resisting the floor in any way. You're not thinking about when can I get up? And the funny thing is you're like, oh, it's a restful position. I like it for the first few minutes. And then it starts to become difficult. So as it starts to become difficult, do you contract, trying to get away? Or do you find the next level of dropping into softness? You only have one practice. You only have one job. And that is to discover what it means to be at peace in yourself, in the world as it is. And maybe that's a good gauge if your psoas can relax. It means that you've come to a place that's pretty peaceful. I know, don't wiggle around. We're not going to hold it for the full 15 or 20 minutes that's recommended. This too is part of practice. Learning to be still with what is there. And if it becomes difficult, is not contracting around it, but dropping into a deeper layer of softness. So beyond whatever layers of fear there are about the future or about yourself or about what's going to happen, might happen, and if you're making the right choices, the wrong choices. Beyond any of that, where is there a sense of trust? And we say it often that that's the root energy, is where is your sense of trust in the unity, community of your place in the world? What are you rooted in? It's also a simple place of trust that what you are is automatically enough. Because the root is the distillation of the cosmic self. It's showing up 10,000 different ways. Every time you look in the mirror, it's looking right back at you. Don't see the 10,000 decisions you have to make. See the one identity that you are. The one fundamental being that you are. You stay steady in that, the decisions will start to make themselves. Good, you guys. Bring the knees in towards the chest. We've survived sitting still for a pretty long time. Good job. Take your legs straight up towards the sky, please. And then let your legs drop open wide to a straddle. Yeah, you can use hands if you need, but if you don't need to, don't. Good. Yeah, relax the shoulders. There's nothing for the shoulders to do here. Yeah, I do want you to have this feeling, though, that you are drawing the thigh bones up into the hip socket. So you're not letting your feet and your legs fall forward of the straight line with your hips. So try and pull the legs back so that they're in a straight line with your pelvis. So that means they're going to come higher up towards your shoulders. That's it. Yeah. One more breath, you guys. Good. And then bend the knees, come into happy baby. So as the knees bend just as wide, you're sending your heels up towards the ceiling, stacking them on top of the knees. Good. That wideness of the groin should be pretty much the same. Press your low back down to the floor. Good. Squeeze your knees in just a little bit. Yeah. And then push your sit bones wide again. Low back down. Good. And Allison, it looks like you could take your knees a little wider. I can only see your feet, but I'm guessing from where your feet are, you can take your knees a little wider. That's it. Beautiful, you guys. Bring the knees back in towards the chest, please. Hug. Go ahead, cross the right thigh on top of the left, wrapping the legs like you would for eagle. Let's scoot your hips over to the right, please. Drop your knees to the left. Good. Arms can go wide, or you can take that right arm up over the ear if that feels like it's a better place to breathe longer. Good. Even here, can you hollow the lowest place of your belly, push back into the wideness of your sacrum? So like you're trying to push your butt back, but keep your ribs soft. You're not arching your back. Good. Nice. One more breath. Try and pull that right sit bone, your right hip away from your right armpit. So actually try and move it down towards the bottom edge of your mat. Good. And then slowly release. Come on back to center. You can unwind the legs as you do that. Good. Switch to the other side. Take the the left thigh on top of your right. Scoot your hips over to the left. Drop your knees to your right. And again, left arm can go straight out from the shoulder or up alongside the ear. Nice. And obviously, if your knees don't like twisting in this wrapped position, you can stack the legs on top of each other instead. Good. What is nice is letting using the wrap of the legs to really bring that left knee over, to bring that left hip over so that you're getting the stretch through the IT band, the outer thigh. Even if that means your shoulder comes up, that would be my recommendation, is to let that top knee come down towards the floor more. Get into that outer thigh as it goes up into the hip and the low back. Good. And then come back to center, unwind your legs. Nice job. Plant your feet, hip width. Good. Arms alongside you, robot arms or straight arms, whatever you choose, but set yourself up for bridge. Good. And as you are setting your feet, and I've been playing with a lot of butt stuff lately, and I know you like it, so we're going to stay with it. But before you go up, I want you to first contract your right butt cheek, just your right butt cheek, and let it go. Contract your left butt cheek, and let it go. Do the right one again. Let it go. Do the left one again. Let it go. Contract both without squeezing your tailbone. Now press into your feet, press into your arms. Butt's already engaged. Lift your hips up into bridge. Don't let your butt cheeks squeeze into your tailbone, but keep them both engaged. Lift your hips higher. Press into your arms, lift your heart higher. Good. Don't let your butt squeeze into your tail, but keep it engaged. So you're widening your sit bones, and you're also wrapping that glute muscle around the lower edge of your pelvis. Nice. One more breath. Go super high with your chest, super wide with your breath. And then release the hips down to the floor. Beautiful. Stretch the legs out in front of you. Take the arms up alongside your ears. Full body stretch. Good. Press out, press out, press out. That means draw your ribs back and in. Feel the lift of your low belly. Press out through your heels. Stretch up through your arms. Good. And then relax everything. Let the feet drop open. Arms alongside you. Palms up. Shavasana. Drop completely out of your mind. We use that metaphor for the lotus to say that it grows from the darkest places and it reaches for the light and it grows and it grows and it grows from the mud. And then it blooms above the water. Perfection. So because you cannot imagine your perfection, go to the place that's dark. Go into the place that is just you and you. There's no one else, nothing else. Because that's where you're going to understand the unity. That's where you're going to understand the perfection, because it's already there, distilled. So breathe into your own individual place that is dark and safe, because it's just you and you. And there is nothing else. Who are you? Very gently bring your awareness back to your breath. And your body begin to stretch, move, in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest, roll to your right side. Take a moment there before you begin to push the floor away and back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart, palm to palm, or whatever mudra has been serving you best. My other favorite quotes from a different teacher, a different guru. It's not really a quote, but Neem Karoli Baba would often be said that he really only had one teaching. He would tell you all the time to just eat, chant, chant, chant. That's all you need to do. Just eat and chant, eat and chant, eat and chant. But if you got caught distracted, falling into your own mind, is that you might get hit by a piece of fruit. And when you looked up wondering why he's throwing things at you, he would shake a finger at you and say, there's just one. Right? There's only one. And no matter how many times you get distracted in those 10,000 variations, those 10,000 things that you think you need to do, you still only have one job. And that one job is to understand fundamentally who you are. What brings you to a state of peace in this world as it is, in yourself as you are, because that's what matters. If you're steady in that, the rest of your life will start to become more clear, what needs to be done and what doesn't. So the teaching is there's only ever one. Always has been, always will be. There's only ever one. And if you practice that steadiness, then everything else becomes more clear. So your only job is to know yourself. And your only job is to represent that self, that seed form of the cosmic self, over and over again. Be true to it. And whatever it is that you do or don't do, if it's true to that inner self, you've done it right. Stop looking outside. There are no answers. Only place where there is that peacefulness is inside. That's where all the answers come. Close the sound of Om, deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. The lotus does not bloom because the sun demands it, and it doesn't bloom because the seed itself demands it. It blooms because there is a reaching both directions for the light and the seed. They reach for each other. The light and the dark, they reach for each other until they're the same. It's your one job. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Really good work. I will see you soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you're staying for meditation, you don't have to sign off. You can stay. Meditation and pranayam is at 11:30, so you can stay if you want to do that.